Hi everyone, this is For the Love of Comics and a very warm welcome to another one of our Quick Looks, a video in which we take a look at a special book or edition in under 5 minutes. This is also another USAGI YOJIMBO video, USAGI YOJIMBO being my favorite comic series of all time, and it's another look at another gallery edition of USAGI YOJIMBO. I covered the first gallery edition, Samurai and Other Stories, a couple of weeks ago on this channel, and you can find that video linked up here. If you're not familiar with USAGI YOJIMBO or you haven't checked out my USAGI YOJIMBO playlist, you can find that up here as well. And this contains a whole bunch of different videos on different aspects of this wonderful series. To that, today we're going to add a look at The Artist and Other Stories, Gallery Edition Book 2 of USAGI YOJIMBO. And I'm going to do this slightly differently, which is another reason why you should probably check out the first Gallery Edition video, because that will familiarize you with what a Gallery Edition is and how this looks from a steady tripod point of view. Because today, in order to look at this book, I'm going to pick up the camera and get up close and personal with handheld video. I'm not sure if this will work out all right, so I really look forward to your feedback in the comments below. Tell me if you found this interesting or if you found this a good way of looking at a large edition, which sometimes I think a static camera doesn't do justice to, or if it's just too much for you and it makes you seasick. Either way you lean, I'd love to know what you think. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at The Artist and Other Stories, USAGI YOJIMBO Gallery Edition Book 2. The second gallery edition is identical, perhaps obviously, to the first in size, dimensions, and production quality, with what seems like the same binding and design scheme, with the exception of the title, which is in blue instead of the beige or the brown of the first book. This blue is also repeated on the full title page. We have more interior art enlarged to serve as end papers, this time from The Artist, the story that gives this collection its name. There are 11 issues comprising 8 stories collected in this volume. Each of them is complete and from the third USAGI YOJIMBO series from Dark Horse, and therefore represent later and more mature Sakai writing and art than the Fantagraphics and Mirage comics that dominated the first book. Here you have a superb selection of stories, 3 of which are two-parters, and of the 5 you have some standout one-shots, like many USAGI YOJIMBO stories are, which helps this serve just like the first book as a perfect giant hardbound storybook more than an art book. Linking directly to the first gallery edition, we start here with the second part of Stan Sakai's How I Draw Usagi from Amazing Heroes, I think, and this follows his process on one particular and, in my opinion, iconic cover. Readers can once again marvel at how clean and immaculate Sakai's original pages are, with almost no errors, corrections, extra lines, or any of those usual signs of an art page. Every now and then you may see a tiny stain or a smudge of ink, but you'll really have to seek them out. As noted by longtime editor Diana Schutz in the introduction, Sakai also has very occasional spelling errors which would be corrected digitally, and it's fun to try and see if you can spot any of these. Yet other places will show you blue pencil marks on letters or characters to be inserted digitally, as relettering would not be possible. And there are also margin notes from Stan Sakai to both himself, like this note to change the calligraphy, as well as to others, like this one to colorist Tom Luth. But if you insist on messy, heavily marked up art pages, this, just like the first gallery edition, may not be for you. I really love it as an oversized, magnificently produced edition of some of the finest USAGI YOJIMBO stories out there. In particular, Chanoyu, the Tea Ceremony, which is a strong contender for the finest USAGI YOJIMBO issue of all time. While the other stories in this collection highlight Sakai's power with action, rich historical detail and environments through the presentation of this enlarged art, this story, which is all about quietness, deliberation, detail, and space, feels like it echoes even more deeply in this gorgeous presentation. The extras contain some delightful sketches by Sakai, usually on the backs of pages submitted to the publisher, as well as replacement artwork for subsequent editions of a couple of the stories, including Chanoyu and The Artist. At this size and with this quality of paper and printing, it is easy once again to imagine that you are now in possession of a magnificent portfolio of Stan Sakai's art. The slight yellow of the art pages compared to the white of the editions page is a delicate and simple reminder that you aren't looking at final pages, and the beauty of these stories is literally and figuratively magnified with the respect and the love shown to them here. One thing that occurred to me while making this video is that I could easily have made it twice as long by doing an edition comparison, by looking at the pages of this gallery edition to the final print publication of either the single issues or the collected editions. And this could potentially be very interesting for a delicate story like the tea ceremony story, or the artist, which was later reprinted in full color as an USAGI YOJIMBO color special. But I didn't know how the handheld would look. I didn't know if it would work properly or not. Also, I didn't know how long it would take to edit, so I decided to keep it short and sweet for this video. However, if you are interested in those kind of comparisons, let me know in the comments below. This has been For the Love of Comics. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.